The America could have ended Iran's economy in minutes, but they didn't. Here's why. March 13th, 2026. In the dead of night, American warplanes and missiles rained down on Kharg Island, Iran's beating heart of oil exports. Over 90 military targets obliterated. Radar domes shattered, missile bunkers collapsed, naval boats sunk at their moorings. Yet something astonishing happens. The oil terminals keep standing. The massive storage tanks remain untouched. The loading jetties, through which 90% of Iran's crude flows to the world, are left completely intact. President Trump himself announces it. For reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out the oil infrastructure. Why? Why would the most powerful military on earth pull its punch at the exact moment it could deliver a knockout blow to Iran's economy? Tonight we uncover the real reasons, the strategic, economic, humanitarian, and political calculus behind one of the most deliberate acts of restraint in modern warfare. To understand this moment, we must rewind to the roots of the 2025 to 2026 crisis. After years of shadow war, proxy attacks, nuclear brinkmanship, sanctions strangling Iran's economy, the fuse finally lit in mid-2025. U.S. and Israeli strikes hammered Iran's underground nuclear facilities at Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan, setting back any weapons program by years. Iran retaliated asymmetrically. Missiles and drones against U.S. bases, attacks on Gulf shipping, strikes on Saudi and Emirati energy sites. The Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil choke point, became a flashpoint. Roughly 20% of global oil trade passes through this narrow waterway. Iran threatened to close it. Tanker traffic slowed. Oil prices surged nearly $20 a barrel on fear alone. Kharg Island sits just offshore in the Gulf, a small, heavily defended speck of land that handles the vast majority of Iran's legal oil exports. Destroy it, and Iran's regime loses its primary revenue stream overnight. But the U.S. chose precision over annihilation. Why hold back when total destruction was within reach? First, global energy markets. Kharg Island isn't just Iran's lifeline, it's part of the world's. Bombing the terminals would remove millions of barrels per day from supply at a moment when markets are already jittery. Analysts warned of sustained $100+ oil, perhaps much higher if the Strait closed in retaliation. That spike doesn't just hurt Iran, it slams American consumers, European allies, developing nations, and even U.S. shale producers who benefit from stability more than chaos. Trump, sensitive to domestic gas prices, saw the political poison in becoming the president who triggered a global energy crisis. Second, escalation ladder. Destroying oil infrastructure crosses a red line. Iran has repeatedly signaled it would respond symmetrically, hitting Saudi Aramco facilities, UAE ports, Kuwaiti terminals. We've seen previews. Iranian drones already struck Ras Tanura refinery. A full oil war across the Gulf could draw in multiple nations, drag on for months, and force U.S. forces into a defensive quagmire protecting allies' energy assets. By sparing Kharg's oil heart, Washington kept escalation options open while signaling, "We can take it all, but only if you force our hand." Third, humanitarian and long-term political calculus. Trump stated it plainly. For purposes of someday rebuilding Iran, we did the right thing. Destroying the export infrastructure would crater Iran's economy for a decade, echoing the 1980s tanker war, when similar damage took years to repair. That level of devastation would inflict mass hardship on ordinary Iranians, fuel anti-American rage for generations, and make any post-regime transition impossible. If the goal includes pressuring the current leadership while leaving a pathway for a different future Iran, one that might re-engage with the world, then preserving the oil infrastructure becomes strategic decency. Fourth, environmental catastrophe. A strike on Kharg risks massive spills into the Persian Gulf, burning wells, ruptured pipelines, oil slicks, devastating fisheries and desalination plants across multiple nations. The 1991 Gulf War oil fires were a horror. A modern repeat would be exponentially worse. The U.S. avoided creating an ecological disaster that would haunt the region for decades. Fifth, Deterrence without regime change commitment. The raid on Kharg's military envelope showed overwhelming superiority. U.S. forces could hit with impunity. Leaving the oil intact turned it into leverage, a sword of Damocles. Trump warned explicitly, interfere with Hormuz shipping, and I will immediately reconsider this decision. It was calibrated coercion, maximum psychological pressure, with minimum irreversible damage. In the days following, oil prices stabilized somewhat. Markets priced in the restraint. Iran lost military capability on Kharg, but retained its economic breathing room, at least for now. The Strait remained tense but open enough for limited traffic. Global economies avoided the worst-case spike. Yet the decision reveals deeper truths about 21st century great power conflict. Wars are no longer just about destroying the enemy. They're about controlling escalation, preserving economic stability, and shaping post-conflict outcomes. By not striking the oil, the U.S. signaled it seeks a defeated adversary, not a destroyed nation. Whether that restraint holds depends on Tehran's next move. In an age of hypersonic missiles and proxy shadows, true power isn't always measured in destruction. Sometimes it's measured in what you choose not to destroy. On Kharg Island, America flexed unmatched might, then deliberately held back. Not out of weakness, but out of cold calculation. The cost of total victory might be a world we no longer recognize. The question lingers. Was this wisdom, or merely the prelude to something far worse? Only time, and the next decision in Tehran or Washington, will tell.